Wow. Ooh, it told you it was being recorded.
It is.
All right, Amanda, I am so excited to talk to you for a couple of reasons. I just love your story. I've loved getting to know you and work with you over the last, it's been about 12 to 14 weeks now. And I think this process is going to be really good for you just to reflect on what this has been like. It's going to be good for me to hear what went well, what we can do better in the future. And then hopefully this will answer questions that others might have when making a decision to make changes, make investments in themselves. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, but you can kind of like, this is always your call. You get to steer the ship. So if you want to go somewhere else with this, have at it. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So tell me, what was it like before you reached out? What was your life, your fitness, nutrition? What was not working for you prior to that first call we had?
I was just a roller coaster when it came to diet and exercise. I would lose weight and then I'd gain it back, and then I'd lose weight and then I'd gain it back. And I never ever reached my goal or even got close to it. I would hit a plateau and then I'd just give up. And that's why I reached out to you, because I couldn't do it on my own. Even though I felt like I was eating healthy, I wasn't eating enough, because I don't have a very big appetite, and I didn't work out regularly because my job is really tough. And so it was like maybe once a week I'd work out, but my job is high energy. So it's like my job is working out. So that I felt that that was enough, but I did not do toning or weights, anything like that. It was always just aerobic, Zumba, dance, exercise. So that's how it was. And I was like, I feel like I'm doing all these good things without results.
Right. What was going on that all of a sudden you're like, okay, I want to do something different now?
I wanted to figure out why I wasn't getting results.
Okay.
On my own, nothing was happening.
Right.
So I was just like, I need to work with somebody who knows what's up, and to figure out, like, can I actually get results?
Yeah. No, understandable. So tell me a little bit about, you said you have a high energy job. What do you do?
I'm a nurse. I'm a pediatric nurse.
And what is that schedule that you have?
I work nights. I work Thursday through Sunday, 12-hour shifts, overnight, 7 to 7, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
And in addition to that, tell me, family, how many kids?
I have 6 children.
6.
Yes. 15 down to 3.
All right. I just want to make sure that those that don't know you are getting a full picture of when
my busy life,
where you were at. They are homeschooled?
Yes.
Okay. And C-sections?
All of them. Yep.
Yeah. So you had like a lot of things working against you. Some of the things that you had really working in your favor, your husband.
Mm-hmm.
So supportive.
Yeah.
So supportive, so loving, loved you through the whole process, helped you through the process.
Worked out with me sometimes.
Yeah. And helped you with your meals. And I think that's so important when you're doing something like this, to have that family support. Now, when we talked, this was a big investment, and this was a big commitment. What did that feel like for you?
It was, a lot of it was thinking, like, what else could I have used that money for?
Okay.
Like, is this more important than, the
Right.
50 other things that you can use that money for? And I decided it was. I decided that I have given a lot to everyone else.
Yes.
And it was time to do something for me.
Yes, I absolutely love that. Now, tell me a little bit about what life is like for you since we've gone through this program together.
Just like changes, or?
Yeah, how do you feel now? What's different? What's changed in the last 12, 13 weeks?
The biggest difference for me is just having a healthier attitude, I guess. Before, it was a lot of exercise as a punishment.
Right.
And food is, I felt guilty for every bite. No matter, even if I was eating something super healthy, it was still calories. And now it's more looking at like food as medicine,
Right.
and I don't have like the sugar cravings anymore because I'm eating healthier. And so the things that used to be really hard for me to avoid aren't hard for me to avoid anymore. So I'm not like constantly stressing
Right.
about food
I like
and
that.
not like freaking out when I take a bite of something.
I want to screen share as we're talking about some of your changes so that people can see what we're talking about. Now, this was right about your 11-week mark. And in all transparency to anybody that might be watching, after this, you were having some food sensitivity issues. So you're working on trying to figure out what some of those are. So these were the final results that we had where you're at because you're trying to figure out what's causing some problems in your system. But one of the things that I loved when you went and got tested for that was it's something that you did because you were going through this process. It's like you were more in tune with your body, that you knew something more was up because these results blow my mind, but this is only 10 pounds on the scale.
Mhm.
And I know that one of the things that we talked about, and I remember so distinctly, it was week 6. And I told you, look, it was right before week 6. It was about week 5. I said, this is when it's not fun anymore. This is when you've quit in the past, right? This is
Yep.
why you paid me a lot of money to make sure that you don't quit. And you took pictures because the scale was getting in your head. And I
Mhm.
love that we're able to use multiple forms of measuring because I think when you saw these, there's no denying that it's working.
Yeah.
Now, about how much exercise were you doing a week to get these results?
20 to 30 minutes a day, 5 to 6 days a week.
Okay, I love that. And one of the things that I love about working with individuals is we do truly individualize this. So my other clients like to follow videos. So I would record videos for them. And do you remember what you told me?
About the videos?
Yeah. Well, there was a couple things.
I have been exercising since I was like 10 years old.
Right.
So watching videos is, I wouldn't use the word traumatic, but it's just like
Yeah.
it brings up just all these past memories of no results
Yeah.
and just being my whole life. And I exercise better when I'm just like not focusing on the exercise. When
Right.
I
Well, you said that much nicer than you told me. I think you told me I hate working out.
I do.
And
Yeah.
And I want to listen to music or watch TV. So just write my workout for me, make sure I know what I'm doing, and and then I'll just do it. And I love that we have the ability to do that. Where others are like, don't write it out. I just want to follow along and not think. We're able to customize and tailor to meet your needs. And you did this with resistance band.
Mhm.
You didn't have dumbbells at home. You weren't going to the gym at the height of COVID. And I love that we can see. Can you see my cursor on the screen?
Yes.
I love we can see that definition start. And I think that's a huge piece. Is you always did dance, you always did a lot of cardio type stuff, but this was the first time you really incorporated resistance training. And how was that for you?
It was fine. I like the resistance bands because it's like weights, but it doesn't feel like I'm weightlifting.
Mhm.
I've never really been a fan of the machines either.
Right.
Um, Even if you clean them, they just kind of gross me out. So I I like and I like that I can do it at home. I don't
Right.
have to go anywhere to do it. I'm more likely to exercise if I don't like have to get ready and go because it takes less time.
Right. Absolutely.
Because back when I was dancing a lot was when I was still a stay-at-home parent
Right.
and I had time. I don't have time now.
Yeah.
So being able to just uh sorry, trash truck outside.
No, that's okay. This is real life. This is not
My window's open because it's gorgeous here in Colorado. Um what was I saying? I got so distracted. by that
I
loud
don't
truck.
know, something about resistance bands, gyms being gross.
Yes, gyms are kind of gross, honestly. But yeah, I used to be a Zumba instructor. So I was at the gym every day for hours and I still wasn't losing weight.
Right.
So it's like that doesn't make any sense. So the resistance bands, I like that I can get those kind of results with only 10 pounds.
Yeah, I love it. One of the other things before I unshare this that I just want to highlight, and it was one of the things when we were talking after I showed you the side by side, was one of the first things you said was, "Oh my gosh, look at my face." And so I
Yeah.
want to highlight for anybody that's watching, the face, like you lost so much in your face. And this was even still with some food sensitivity stuff. So you were retaining a little bit of extra fluid. And so I love that even with all that going on, this is what we're seeing. And I tell people all the time, my favorite is always the back. Now, you can't fake this. This is just a
Yeah.
huge change, the front and the side, but you can't fake that back. I mean, just look at how smooth it is. Do you have any idea how many sizes you went down?
I was like a 12 when we started, and then now I'm like between a 6 and an 8.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know your clothes were falling off of you.
Yeah, my scrubs. I'm like, dang it, I'm gonna have to buy all new scrubs.
One of my favorite things when we were first talking, we had our first call before you signed on. You're like, you're nearing 40.
Mhm.
And you were saying how you've got energy. Energy isn't your issue. Usually, when I talk to other ladies that are getting near that 40, they're like, "Yeah, I'm lacking energy." And I loved. I want to say it was like about week maybe 8 or 9, and you're like, "I feel like I have so much more energy. Like I thought I had energy,
Mhm.
and now I have even more." And I love that you were able to see that and realize that.
Mhm.
That was exciting. Now, we did that with about 25 minutes a day, 5, 6 days a week. You were using the bands about 3 to 4 days a week, and then substituting in some different some of your own bands, some things that I've supplemented for you. Uh, Tell me about food. You were eating more food, right?
Yes, food was a struggle.
Yeah, of
Uh, that was more of a struggle than the
course.
exercise change was.
Were you
Uh,
surprised that that I was having you eat more, or were you expecting I was going to have you eat more?
no, it was a surprise for me because I thought that I was eating enough, but I literally like set an alarm like you need to eat something,
Yeah,
and I just wasn't hungry, and so I was having healthy snacks and just, but it was hard to plan ahead
yeah,
and make sure I had healthy options for
right.
work too.
Yep,
And because I on work days I'd basically have one meal
right.
and that was it.
And this, I mean, this requires planning. This requires work. This isn't magic. This isn't like, hey, just eat more food and throw in some resistance bands and it's all just going to happen. And I know that we made a lot of adjustments as we went on. We talked about different foods you could substitute in. We talked a little bit about, for a little while, you did start using a meal service because it
Mhm.
was just easier for prep. And I love that you recognized that the prep was being too much for you.
Mhm.
We made sure that you chose which day we were having off so you could have the transition from being stay at home to working nights. And and what I love about your story is you just didn't use excuses. Of anybody I've ever met, you have more excuses than anybody to not eat food. I mean, seriously, six
I
kids.
think I made excuses about the food.
Well, no, but you didn't. Like you made it happen. You're like, this is too much. We're gonna figure this out. When I still love hearing about your date night, and you went to, I think it was Olive Garden. Was it Olive
Um,
Garden? Was it
no,
anniversary
oh
or
no,
the
we went to a Italian restaurant. Yeah.
Italian restaurant? And I still remember so clearly. You were like, I still ate what I wanted to, but I made some. I didn't eat quite as much of this. I had a little bit less of that. I didn't eat the breadsticks, but I could have if I wanted to. And I loved that. You're still going to continue to work on your relationship with food. Let's face it,
Mhm.
right? It's going to be an ongoing. But I think that you made so many good changes over the course of time that I feel like I feel like you have the tools and the resources to continue and stick with them.
Yeah.
And that's what excites me most. All right, let's see. What else didn't we cover? I'm looking. Is there anything else that you want to say? Anything else that I've missed? This is your
Uh,
call. This is your testimony. This is like Amanda is the bomb.
I think just the overall thing that I just loved about this journey was having the accountability
Absolutely.
made it so I reached that point that I always got to and then gave up
Right.
and was able to keep going from that point. And with taking the pictures, not just the scale, because I have so many issues with just
Right.
struggle to lose weight, that seeing that changes can be made without the scale moving as much as I want it to. So that was a big change for me as well. And I'm going to continue doing that just for my own benefit, to be able to see
Right.
changes
Document those changes.
when it's going. And especially with making all the food changes that I am now, with having food sensitivities
Right.
that I am now aware of, I'm hoping that changes will happen.
That they'll keep happening.
Yeah.
And I love that you said you needed that accountability. I think a lot of people out there, there's themes that I hear all the time. You know, I only get this far and then I stop, right?
Mhm.
Because there's nobody else there pushing you. There's nobody else you're checking in with. You know, you had to tell me weekly what you were eating, so you stopped eating off of your kids' plates.
Mhm.
And instead of just eating it, which wasn't doing you any good, you would throw it away. You got to that point where you're like, okay, I'm not going to feel guilty about throwing it in the garbage. Why would I put it in my body if it's not serving me? And so I loved some of those changes, but knowing that you had that accountability, I think also a lot of people have that same struggle. They feel like they're working so hard, but they're not seeing the change that they're expecting. And so they stop before the big change, and they stop before they see that. And I think that's another benefit of really working with somebody else. You've been so much fun to work with. I
Ditto.
I can't wait to like watch you continue to grow and do all the things. It's going to be amazing. Anything else before I stop our recording?
I don't think so.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.